Vanity Gengashuhe KTN Nakuru.
Well, away from the reactions on the abduction scourge in the country, we shift focus to the Parliament, where the grilling of Agriculture Cabinet Secretary nominee Mutahi Kagwe on Tuesday turned combative as legislators confronted him over past scandals during his tenure as the Health Cabinet Secretary, including the infamous KEMSA COVID-19 procurement saga, the illicit sale of vaccines by rogue staff, and the deep-seated influence of cartels in the health sector. Our reporter Grace Nganga now tells us on how Kagwe defended his qualifications and suitability for the role.
I, Mutahi Kagwe.
The former health CS faced tough questions, particularly on the COVID-19 corruption scandals that rocked the country during the pandemic. Kagwe acknowledged his role, saying he bears full responsibility for any failures under his watch, but was quick to add that significant reforms were initiated during his tenure.
Also, single sourcing of COVID masks supplied contrary to Section 69(2) of the Public Procurement Act. It is believed that you failed to account on the procurement of 1.6 billion worth of vaccines.
That happened that was not correct in my ministry, and throughout that COVID period, we must take responsibility because it was there. The negatives, I take responsibility. The positives, I give credit to the team that was working at the ministry.
At the time, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, had flagged the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency over the alleged mismanagement of a 7.8 billion tender for the procurement of personal protective equipment, with reports indicating that the tender was awarded to politically connected individuals. During Senate investigations in 2020, then KEMSA CEO Jonah Manjari implicated Kagwe and his former PS Susan Mochache in the scandal. Another thorny issue was the controversial ban on the private sale of Russia's Sputnik vaccine. Lawmakers questioned whether the ban, imposed shortly after then Deputy President William Ruto and his spouse Rachel received the job, was politically motivated.
How are we sure that once you go to the Ministry of Agriculture, you will not stop any new investor the way you did while you were at the health ministry?
The vaccine arrived in Kenya with the approval of the government, and it was administered to many people, including the current president. And what happened when the current president, who was the deputy president, took it, is when that regime stopped it. Let us be honest to each other.
There was not a single vaccine that we allowed into Kenya that was not approved, and there was not a single vaccine that we refused to take that was approved.
Kagwe also had to address concerns about the proposed national livestock vaccination campaign, assuring MPs that no farmer will be forced to vaccinate their animals without proper stakeholder consultations. However, he emphasized the importance of the initiative in controlling diseases.
There is no farmer, in my opinion, a sane person, who is going to refuse to protect his cow or to protect his herd at all, if the alternative is that the herd is going to die.
If approved, Kagwe said his greatest challenge will be combating skepticism around the livestock vaccination drive, a key policy under President William Ruto's administration aimed at protecting 70 million animals from diseases such as foot and mouth.
That choices have consequences. Currently, we only vaccinate about 10%. So we will never be able to be disease-free at 10%.
Grace Nganga, KTN.
Well, the former health CS who's been nominated for the agriculture docket is not the only gentleman who is vetted today. Others include William Kabogo, who has been nominated for the ICT and Digital Services docket, and the former Nakuru Governor Lee Kinyanjui, who's been nominated for the trade docket. More details to follow. But let's shift focus to the education sector now.